On today's show, Ime Udoka's importance in this next phase of the Houston Rockets rebuild, the cachet that he has around the league with established players, and could we see the Rockets make a push for one Joel Embiid further down the line, and what that would ultimately look like. Plus, today we play Rockets Barbies vs Oppenheimer. It's all coming up right here at Locked On Rockets.
This is Mission Control, Houston.
Ignition sequence start.
The Houston Rockets select Jalen Green, Alperen Sengun, and Jabari Smith Jr.
T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal.
Every time I step on that floor, I'm coming.
Hey, Houston fans, I am so happy.
You're getting somebody who's going to come in with a chip on their shoulder, somebody who's going to come in and compete from day one.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's up, and welcome to another edition of Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. As always, I'm your host, Jackson Gatlin, native Houstonian and credentialed media member. I'm also the host of Locked On NBA Mondays. Be sure to follow along on Twitter at JT Gatlin, as well as the show at Locked On Rockets. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Go to YouTube, search Locked On Rockets. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. That's prizepicks.com. Promo code Locked On. And as always, thank you so much for making Locked On Rockets part of your day every single day, whether it's on the way to work, on your lunch break, in the gym. Thank you for being an everydayer. Thank you for making LOR part of your day every single day. Joining us now is your weekly co-host, Frank from the Rockets Chop Shop. You can track down on Twitter at FTank58, although I don't know how much longer it's going to be called Twitter for, Frank. What are we going to calling it, X from now on? This whole situation is so whack with Twitter, with social media, and what Elon's doing over there, man.
Yeah, he's going. He's basically Mike D'Antoni handing the team over to Steven Silas. That's what Elon is doing with Twitter. I guess he's tanking the app, but hopefully there is some competition out there that I'm seeing. But man, yeah, the X stuff is crazy. I just saw it this morning. I didn't know because I missed all the stuff from yesterday, so I didn't know what was going on. I thought I got hacked, then I got caught up. So
yeah, right, yeah, it's crazy. What are we gonna say? I'm gonna have to say, follow me on X at no, this is ridiculous. Me. We need to, we're gonna have to Sears Tower this whole situation, right? Where we're gonna keep referring to. Let's refer to it as the artist formerly known as Twitter. How's that? We'll do that the whole way through.
I'm gonna be Twitter, just like I call crypto Arena Staples.
Oh, yeah, it's still Staples. There we go. That's even more. That's an even more recent one. Okay, I like that one. We'll use that as the example.
I'm not moving.
I dated myself with the Sears Tower one. All right, let's get into today's show. We got a bunch of stuff to tackle today. We're gonna have a little fun with today's show, but first things first. There was this video that Rockets fans went wild with Sunday afternoon of Ime Udoka at Joel Embiid's wedding. It was a wedding, right?
Yeah, it was his wedding. Yeah, definitely his wedding.
And
definitely his wedding.
Rockets fans are immediately spinning theories like, oh my God, Joel Embiid to Houston. And I will be completely honest here. Around the same time that the Rockets were entertaining and kind of kicking the tires on the Zion Williamson discussion, right? And maybe potentially seeing about trading around the draft for Zion if he was available, that kind of thing. They've been monitoring the Embiid situation, but they knew that they had to see how the Harden situation would play out first, because obviously if they had gotten James Harden in Houston based on their relationship with each other, Embiid to Houston probably wouldn't make sense further down the line. So there's a very real possibility of this a little bit further down the line, and we want to talk about what that could potentially look like. But I think the first thing to note here, Frank, right, is Ime Udoka is just the type of guy that has cachet around the league, right? He's well respected, well liked by players, and we wouldn't even be having this discussion if Steven Silas was still the head coach, right? Ime is the kind of guy that players want to come to play for on a given team.
Yeah, that's facts. And I think, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. Fred VanVleet was quoted saying that the reason he chose to come to Houston was because of Ime. For us coming out of the 3-year rebuild, you look at who the Rockets have on staff, it's a bunch of newcomers to the NBA scene. And if you guys know about any professional business or sports league, it's all about networking. So it's who you know. And, Stone is new as far as being the face of the franchise's general manager. So he doesn't have a lot of rapport with these players. You look through Stephen Silas, even though he has a lot of connections, but his stuff has been really more on the development side of players. But Coach Udoka is somebody that not only, player under Popovich and all the connections there with all the coaches that have come out of that tree of individuals that Pop has coached, him being around so many of these great Hall of Fame players. Then you move on to his coaching career, where he was at Philly, and that's a connection with Embiid. He actually was an assistant.
Yeah, it wasn't just Embiid
just
like
random.
shooting out an invite, just like Ime, like come here, like let's go.
Come through, right? No, it wasn't random. So they do have a connection in the 2019-2020 season. Ime was an assistant on Philly over there, and so that being in Brooklyn, being in Philly, going to these coaching camps, working out with players, Team USA, that's a big one, the Team USA piece. He was on that 2020 team with Pop as an assistant coach on Team USA. So all of that, he's around a lot of guys, and especially a lot of high talent guys. Then you add in what he just did with the Celtics and proving that to the NBA that he can take a team to the championship. I think the respect factor for Coach Udoka is through the roof. I had a Spurs fan comment on the Chop Shop video saying that in their fan base, a lot of people believe that he's the second best coach in the NBA, obviously to them behind Pop, and they kind of wish that he was there for them to transition into as far as their coach. But yeah, man, I think that cachet, it goes a long way when you're a team like ours that's young with no real names. We don't have a Pat Riley or any of these big names. We're not part of the Bus family or Lacob or any of these names that people know. So having and hiring Ime Udoka was probably, like I'm going to say this all summer, the biggest move the Rockets made this offseason was getting that coach.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. And even the extension of that, right, is like some of these organizations, right, the Lakers, the Celtics, they've just got like the organizational brand familiarity, right? Those teams are teams that can kind of pull talent regardless of who's in charge because they have such deep NBA ties, rich histories, all that stuff. The Rockets, though, they're relatively new coming out of this rebuilding period with some kind of unproven talent, if you will, behind the scenes in the decision-maker roles. The Fertittas are still relatively new owners. You talked about Stone being relatively new with his job, although I do think that the hiring of Ime gives them a certain level of credibility, and I think that together, right, though, like collectively, all those guys are going to be able to work towards the common goal of, building this thing back up from where it was these past few years, and Ime is going to be a big part of that, especially when you look at, again, the relationships that he's been able to cultivate as a coach, the connections that he's had. Obviously, there were all the initial reports and rumors about, oh man, maybe Jalen Brown is going to be on the way out in Boston and he's got a strong relationship with Ime. And we're only going to hear more and more about these types of situations with players who are desperate to leave the situation that they're in and wanting to come to a better situation. And hopefully that better situation could be the Rockets, who are still primed and ready to be able to make a splashy move for a big name target if one becomes available. And the one that we're going to talk about here in just a moment is none other than Joel Embiid and what that could potentially look like down the line. We're going to get there in just a second. First, today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. So what is Prize Picks? It's daily fantasy sports. But how does it work? Basically, you pick 2 to 6 players, and they score more or less than their Prize Picks projection. You can win up to 25 times back on your money on any entry that you submit. There's no competing against anybody else. It's just you versus the projections available. Prize Picks offers projections on any sport that you watch. That's NBA, NFL, MLB, NHL, PGA. They've got you covered for all of the action. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's that simple. They're safe. They offer fast withdrawals. Currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. So download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code LOCKEDON. That means if you deposit $100, Prize Picks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, Prize Picks will give you $50. So don't forget to enter promo code LOCKEDON at sign up for an instant deposit match up to $100. And continuing on here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. So now that we kind of laid the table there, or set the table, I should say, laid the framework, whatever analogy we want to use, in the first segment, let's actually get into what this could potentially look like, Frank, because I don't think it's like this completely like far-fetched idea that Joel Embiid to Houston could be a possibility. Now, look, I'll be completely upfront. It's not something that's going to happen this summer, but
right.
it's very easily something that you could see happening either maybe at the deadline as early as this next season or possibly next summer, depending on how Philadelphia and Daryl Morey handle this James Harden situation, right? Because Embiid is a guy who's competing at a very high level right now. He just won the MVP. He was just in an interview the other day talking about wanting to do whatever it takes to win a championship, and he even put like a kind of like a little pot shot comment in there about like maybe it's Philadelphia, maybe it's somewhere else. I don't know, right? So he's clearly committed to trying to win, but he doesn't know if it's going to be in Philly. And when you're an organization like where the Rockets are at right now with all this immense amount of talent, and you hope you're going to be on the upswing starting this next year, you are in prime position to be able to put together a kind of a Godfather style offer with some young blue chip prospects and some future draft capital to be in a great position to make a good offer for an established top 5, top 10 talent like a Joel Embiid, and then catapult yourself back into relevancy. I honestly think it's not a far-fetched idea. I think the Rockets could absolutely be in play for Embiid a little bit further down the line in the not so distant future.
Yeah, I think the key phrase is further down the line. And this ties into what we just talked about with Coach Udoka and the perception of the Rockets. So I think if Embiid is trying to win a championship, he's going to want to go somewhere that gives him the best shot to do that, while obviously the players want to balance the work-life relationship. So a place where he can enjoy being. That's why you hear the rumors of places like Miami or LA. No, you never hear rumors of like, and no shot to like Thunder fans or Pacers fans, like this star wants to get to Indiana, right? So it's always that work-life balance. But for us,
are you telling me the nightlife in Indiana isn't great?
I don't know, man. Eric Gordon's Pizza Place over there, I heard gets pretty rocking, but I'm not sure if that's gonna like keep a 20-something-year-old.
They've got the after hours from 2 to 4 a.m. There you go.
I'm shout out to people from Indiana. Yeah, I'm just joking before I start getting blamed for that. But the thing is that with what we just talked about with Coach Udoka is his job and what he's gonna, with the cachet he has and bringing in these players, they're going to have to change the perception of the Rockets over the next few seasons as far as being a serious organization when it comes to winning, and which is going to be a hard task to do. And, and what I've seen from Stone and the rest of the front office is they're falling back and letting Ime kind of be the face of everything wisely because of his influence around the NBA. I think that goes a long way, but all of that means nothing if we are still a bad team in like 2 seasons. So, right now I'm looking at his contract for Embiid. He's under contract with a 50-year player option up until 2027, which basically runs through, the next four or 5 seasons. If the Rockets, to me, want to make that push for him, it's going to be relying on a few factors. Number one being that the young players we do have, 1 or 2 of them have to get to that top 20 level to show that, hey, I can pair up with these guys. Or they could use some of their cap space when Fred falls off the books to go get a top 20 player to bring here to pair with him in Houston. Another factor is going to be like, is the team in contention at that point? When Fred VanVleet's last year under contract, because I think that his contract, a lot of people, like we were just talking about it, you compare it to what Embiid is making now, he's only making $3 million less in his final year than what Embiid is going to be making right now. That's a big contract, but the upside to that is that Fred is relatively young. If he serves and does what he's supposed to do here in Houston, he could potentially, if, for some reason that is both in the interest of Houston and him, to get moved on to another situation for him where he can get paid again. That could be a great trade chip to get a big star. That's why I'm not too, I actually gave the Fred VanVleet signing an A+, especially with that team option on the 3rd year. So if you can align the stars where you've won a couple, maybe we'll make it to the play-in this year, you make a playoff berth the year after that, and in that 3rd year of Fred's contract, Jalen is good, Jabari, 2 out of the 4 or 6 guys that we have are actually show something that they can be something, then you can make that move. But I will say that move is probably going to cost you one of those guys that you really like. So I think Embiid is just a name. It could be for any big name star. When we have to make these decisions, it is going to cost one of the guys that we like.
And you already know Rockets fans are going to be vehemently against any of that. They're like, no, don't trade any of our guys. Like, they're all untouchable.
It's going to happen.
But
it's going to happen, bro. You know how that is in the NBA.
Always.
It's almost like a script. It's going to happen. at some
Almost
point.
like a script. We already know the NBA is scripted, Frank. Come on. Wait, look.
Scripted.
This is you and I got a peek at the script. That's why we're talking about Embiid to Houston right now. We're prepping Rockets fans a little bit ahead of time, right? Just a sneak peek, a peek behind the curtain.
Let me say this before, because I know some people get all like, "Oh my God, this is not going to happen." Hey, man, it's about to be August. We're trying to keep y'all entertained. Okay, so just let your imagination run wild. Because once again, you got to look. OKC, if you go look at some of the stuff they're talking about in their franchise, they're going to have to make this decision a little bit sooner than we are, because they've already achieved some of those steps that we're trying to get to. This happens in the NBA. Players are, you have to aggregate your players, your talent at some point to make a chess piece move to try to build a contender. I just don't know who it's going to be. It depends on who that player is that pops off for the Rockets over the next few years.
I mean, hell, we already kind of saw it with the Rockets, right? With the fact that they had some roster churn with the young guys that they cut ties with in order to, again, now it's unfortunate the way that they went about it. Again, it's unfortunate the way that they went about it, but like those guys, they're gone now, right? Ty, Garuba, Josh, they're all gone. Yeah. So, I honestly, in my mind, I'm interested. One thing that you didn't mention, right, is obviously how volatile the situation becomes in Philly is a big component too, right? Like, depending on how they maneuver this James Harden trade. Now, if Daryl Morey pulls a rabbit out of his hat and figures out how to turn James Harden into another, relatively top level player or some assets that he can then flip into another top guy to pair with Embiid, maybe Joel stays happy, right? And he's good and he's content to stay in Philly and play out his career there. But if this situation's a dumpster fire, if Philly regresses in a big way this year, if he feels like he is the only good thing that organization has going for it, aside from like Tyrese Maxey, then like they're going to be in really rough territory trying to convince him to stay. I could honestly see a world, Frank, where the Rockets are actually poised to make a jump for Embiid in 1 year. So like next summer, right? Because when we've talked before about what the Rockets like win totals and some predictions and how we think they're going to do this next year. I've stuck with the number 35. I think they're going to be at a minimum a 35 win team this next season. And I think they've actually got some room like in that 35 to 40-ish win territory when you look at the names that they added, the internal growth from guys, adding, a top 5 NBA head coach in Ime Udoka, potentially. It's still kind of jury's out on how good Ime actually is. This is also a very different group than the group he had in Boston, but still, erring on the side of confidence in Ime. Like, I think that's worth a really solid uptick in the number of wins. So if the Rockets can go from NBA laughingstock to like upper end play-in team, or like, I'm not going to say they're going to full-blown secure a playoff berth, but something in that category, then you can envision a world where Embiid looks at himself and he's like, man, they went from that to this in 1 year. If I get added to that, we can go to contender next year, right? And if in that world, I don't think it's ridiculous to think that the Rockets could make a push for him next summer with the pieces that they currently have without having to also like use Fred's like gigantic salary to make it happen.
The only way I see that happening, just because I feel like if I was just looking for that, I would just stay in Philly if I was him, because, it's basically going to be, they're already at that level. The only way I could see that happening is two scenarios. That's also why I said if it's volatile, right? Like if they regress this year, right? Like so that would kind of be the whole point. Is like if they regress this year, if they look worse this year, it's only going to get worse moving forward. So then that's his like, okay, 5-alarm fire, I got to get out of town. But you got to think that he probably sees us. I mean, we're not a proven commodity, and if I'm going to make a decision like that, I'm just thinking like him. I go somewhere where I know I have a great chance. The only way I see that for us is that if we actually aggregate earlier and actually go get somebody that he's going to come down and want to come play with, like right now. I know that we're going to have a lot of jumps from our young guys. I just don't see them leaping that far up in their skill level enough to make that a convincing argument where maybe we go get another star level player that wants to come to Houston and pair up with him and start here and build from there. That's kind of the world where I see that happening. Not saying it's out of that's impossible.
Can I give you another angle to consider as well in that regard?
Go ahead. Let me hear that.
Think about like the whole like when Carmelo forced his way to New York, right? The Knicks had to gut their roster to trade for Carmelo. I think the Rockets are in a unique position where they wouldn't have to gut their roster to be able to get Embiid, right? Because you would still have 4 out of the 6 young guys, depending on which 2 you want to send back in the trade. And at that point, like versus another team that maybe is a bit more ready to be a contender right out of the gate. They've got like 1 or 2 star guys already. Like look at Miami, for example, right now. Like Miami is going to be completely gutted if they pull off a Dame trade. And it's going to be Dame, it's going to be Jimmy, and it's going to be Bam. Now that's a great big 3, but then who the hell else do you put around those guys? And we've seen that depth really matters, right? You have to have a team that can go 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 deep, especially for these, late postseason runs, that kind of thing. The Rockets would be in a position where I think they could make the Embiid trade, like swing the trade and have good value for Philly with, I'm gonna get flamed for this, but like, Alperen, Sengun, like Cam Whitmore is like the two staple pieces of the trade. And then you use salary filler like KPJ, Jae'Sean Tate,
you hit the trifecta of controversial.
I know, right?
Just you're asking for it, bro. If they flame you, hey, I had nothing to do with it.
Light me up in the comments. You know what? Set the bomb off in the comments like Oppenheimer did. All right, go for it.
Just Sengun, Cam, and KPJ, man. You living wild today, Jackson.
But legitimately, right? You could do that, and you would still potentially have, your other 4 pieces: your Jalen, your Jabari, Ime Thompson, and Tari, Eason. And hell, like again, you could, if you had to really push, you could include one of those guys if you really felt like you needed to. But I think at that point, you still have a roster that doesn't have a bunch of gaping holes in it, right? And suddenly you've got a top 5, top 10 guy in Embiid who's just, right smack dab in the middle of his prime. He's 29 this year, so he'll be 30 next summer.
Yeah.
I think it could happen. I would not.
I'm not disagreeing with the trade. I'm just looking at it from Embiid's perspective. That's the only point of contention, because everything you said that could happen. It would make sense for Philly. I think ideally Daryl would want to amass as many assets as possible, young assets and picks, because we already know he's probably going to flip that for something else. And for Houston, for both teams, but, as we're seeing with Dame and with Harden, these players are really particular about playing where they want to play. If Embiid is willing, then yes. But to me, it doesn't, if I was him, I'm going to leave a situation similar to Harden leaving Houston, where I'm beloved. This is my town. I'm the face of this franchise. I want to go to somewhere where I have a chance to actually win. Maybe it's not Miami, but just somewhere where I know for a fact that I'm going to be a contender every year. I just don't know if Houston is going to be that team that soon. That's my only. But as far as for the teams, I mean, yeah, that'd be a great trade. It's just that I don't know if Embiid would see Houston even coming into a year where we took a leap as this is where I want to be for the next 4 or 5 years of my career. So
for sure,
that's my only point.
And it could be right. And again, maybe this is extreme glass half full optimism, whatever, red tinted shades. But, it could be very similar to the Chris Paul experience with Phoenix, right? Where that Suns team took a leap in the bubble. They looked good. That team with Monty Williams was attractive enough to be the destination that Chris Paul wanted to go to when it was time to leave OKC. Now, granted, Chris Paul was leaving a weird situation in OKC.
Who's our Devin Booker, though? That's the question. Because you got to remember. Yeah. That's what I was saying about getting the guy.
I don't know. They have a pretty young 2-guard who's seems like he's poised to take maybe a year 3 leap, right? Okay, we could see.
We gonna see. I mean, if Jalen comes in just because we've seen the workout videos. Obviously, he's putting on weight. He seems very serious this year, and he's playing for a contract. Honestly, I'm gonna bet he has a great season. But that stuff is important, though. Like what you're pointing out, we need these guys. Remember, I said that earlier. We need these guys to show us something as far as their leaps in the NBA, because that serves them, that serves the team, but it also serves us as a destination to get the Embiids of the world to want to come down and play in Houston. I want teams to say, hey, I want to go play down with Jalen Green down there in Houston, because Houston has everything. The table is set. It's set. It's laid out. Our players just have to reach there. We have a coach. We have money. We have a great city, great fan base. It's just one of these young players has to pop off. And I have a good feeling. We have so many opportunities to do so. So, yeah, I think we're going to be good, man. I think we got a good future.
They got a lot of bites at the apple, and that's what it was all about. So it'll be interesting to see which one of those players, or hopefully more than one of those guys, pops off this next season. But coming up, we're gonna have a little bit of fun now on today's show. Not that we haven't been having fun, but coming up, we've got our Rockets Barbies versus Oppenheimers coming up in just one moment. And final segment here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball. Now, we're going to detour a little bit away from hoops talk for a moment because the world has been so preoccupied with Barbie versus Oppenheimer, or Barbie and Oppenheimer, because every so often you get these two movies that come out at the exact same time and they just become like conjoined at the hip, right? They just become like twins, siblings, whatever. And it's been like people have made this like a thing. Like it's like now a thing where you're either a Barbie or an Oppenheimer. And you can apply it to a bunch of different situations. You can apply it to teams. You can apply it to podcasts. You can apply it to like TV couples. Like I'm a huge like Brooklyn Nine-Nine fan. So like to me, like Jake Peralta would absolutely be the Barbie in that relationship. And then Amy Santiago would absolutely be the Oppenheimer in that relationship. So what we're going to do here and have a little fun on today's show is we're going to navigate through the Rockets roster and trying to figure out who would be the Barbies and who would be the Oppenheimers. But first, Frank, I'm going to take a stab here.
Okay.
Part of me wants to say that you'd be an Oppenheimer, but I actually think you'd be a Barbie.
Nah, God, dog, come on.
All right, am
Dude,
I wrong?
I listen to classic. I'm like Victor Wemby. I draw and listen to classical music.
Okay, you're the Oppenheimer. Okay, you're an Oppenheimer. Okay, all right.
I'm a history buff. Yeah.
All right,
yeah,
there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Hey.
I thought it was like a
I'm
slight
flattered,
fake
though.
out.
Hey,
I thought
I'm
it was like a
flattered.
slight fake out.
I'm flattered.
All right.
I'm flattered. You know what I mean? Because I get it. I'm flattered.
All right, which one do you think I am?
I think you're an Oppenheimer. I feel like we get the same vibe.
Ooh, okay.
Am I wrong?
I think you are wrong. I would be a Barbie. There we go. All right. We our read on each other was a little off.
I'm gonna snip that. I'm gonna be a Barbie. Just know you just messed up, bro. Just
oh man, that clip's gonna be in Rockets Watch. It's already in Rockets Watch. Somebody's got my computer bugged. It's already over there. Okay. Dude, I even wore the pink shirt. Come on, man. Like,
okay.
Like I was set up for this. This is the shirt that I wore to the Barbie movie. No. So let's go through. We'll see if we can identify, and you can play along with us, and you can tell us in the comments on YouTube if we're dead wrong or like completely on the money with some of our picks across the Rockets roster. So let's start, Frank. Let's go with Jalen Green, Barbie or Oppenheimer?
Easy Barbie. Easy Barbie.
Easy Barbie?
Easy Barbie. That's easy Barbie. Yeah, that's Jalen.
There you go. That's Jalen.
Yeah, easy Barbie. Jalen, yeah, he's ultimate Barbie, and not because of any weird videos, just his vibe. He's chill. He's into his aesthetics, you know what I mean? Very, very like calculated with everything he does as far as his presentation. So yeah, that's definitely Barbie vibes.
Okay, so, I felt like Jalen would be kind of an easy one. Let's go with a slightly harder one. How about Jabari Smith Jr.?
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer? We're going to go Oppenheimer.
Yeah, the dude's
Jabari?
he's a psycho.
I can see it. All right.
Yeah, he's a psycho. He cusses out random people on the court. Like guys that even have nothing to do with the play. Jabari's crazy.
All right, Jabari's an Oppenheimer.
Jabari's crazy. Yeah, he's Oppenheimer.
He gets the bomb noise because that's the vibe. We got Barbie or we got bomb. That's those are the two vibes we're going for here. Okay, I can see that. Sengun's easy. Sengun's a Barbie.
Yeah, he's a Barbie.
Sengun has to be a Barbie.
Sengun's a Barbie. Yeah, he is. Low key a drip god on the team. Y'all sleep on Sengun's fashion game too. But yeah, he's a Barbie.
He might have the best drip on the entire team. I'm gonna put that out.
He's dripped out. I ain't gonna lie. I peep game.
You see him walking into like summer league, and he looks almost like Turkish Bad Bunny the way he walks in with like the sunglasses and everything. Like
it's light work because a lot of the fashion stuff is like in America is mimicking like Europe and Asia.
Absolutely, so, right? So he's already got a leg up on the competition. He knows what's going on.
Facts.
All right, let's go with some of the newer faces. Fred VanVleet.
Yeah, he is Oppenheimer. Yeah, Fred is Fred is no Barbie and Fred. That dude is about his business.
You said he is Oppenheimer. Oh man.
Yeah, Fred is a businessman. Yeah, he is not.
He's about his money. He's been grinding his whole career. He's a man from humble beginnings, just like Oppenheimer. Like there we go. All right, I can fully see that one across the board. This next one's going to be a slam dunk though too. Dillon Brooks, Oppenheimer all the way.
Nah, I'm gonna say Barbie.
You're gonna say Barbie? No,
bro, you cannot.
We're torn here.
Bro, have you seen him come into like Dillon is? He is he's a Barbie off the court, but Oppenheimer on the court.
Okay, you know what? Yeah, you know what? This will be the first one where we'll give him the full
split,
like anointing. Yeah. He's the Barbenheimer, right? Like he's the conjoined, like he's both of them. He's the guy that signed up like on like Thursday like afternoon for the matinee showing. He did both of them back to back. He watched both movies, and he had different like outfits for each one, right? He had like the all black for Oppenheimer, and then he had like his jorts and like a he had some what is it called? The cowboy, like the what is it? Fringe? Whatever it is.
I don't know.
I don't know. He had a whole outfit coordinated for both movies. And all right, so we'll give Dillon Brooks.
Anybody that wears a perm to a game with a big coat, yeah, bro, come on. That's he's definitely Barbie off the court. As soon as the buzzer goes off, though, he turns into a psycho. So yeah, he's a both.
All right. Tari Eason. This one's easy to me.
This is tough.
No, this one's easy to me.
I'm not going to lie.
Oh, so I got this one then. Tari is definitely an Oppenheimer. He's an Oppenheimer.
You think so? I don't know.
He is, so not only just from like his work ethic and like his vibe on the court, off the court, he's a major cinephile. Like he loves movies like so much to the point that he's like, there was one time he was in the locker room, I think it was in Dallas, and he was like, educating Gary Bird on like movies. He was like talking up all these different movies. He grabbed Gary's like iPad that they use with like plays and like loaded videos and stuff. And I guess they each have their own designated iPads for like the flights back home and to and from and everything. And he started like downloading a bunch of movies, and he was telling Gary, he was like, you're going to watch this, 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 and this. And like, he was trying to educate this man. So I think from a culture perspective and just from an appreciation perspective for cinema and all that, Tari is definitely an Oppenheimer.
Okay, I'll let you. I'm torn on him because I feel like he's such a charismatic person and such a, like you said, his work ethic. He's a savant as far as a personality. So I think he can be both, like, but in a good way, not like Dillon Brooks, where it's like psycho and regular, but like
psycho and jorts.
Yeah, he can actually. Yeah, I think I would say he's both. Like he can switch to what he both angles. So
okay,
he's a Barbenheimer too.
All right, this next one I'm torn on. Ime Thompson.
You mean Ime Thompson that works out in silence?
I was slightly torn on it, but for the same reason that you, I think, were torn on Tari, right? Because you see him when he talks, and he's so like he's kind of like bubbly and charismatic, right? When he's like he's very outgoing, and just the moment you talk to him, like you just get like just this warm glow, whatever about. But then he also has the psycho like killer mentality of like working out in a gym with no music and like all that. And you see the interview of like him after he found out that he was getting shut down for summer league, and like just stone cold serious, like the best poker face in the game. So you're gonna go Oppenheimer for him.
I'm gonna go Oppenheimer. I think his basketball psycho part overtakes whatever I think the charismatic aspect of him is probably like those kind of serial killer guys that they're like really charismatic, but it's just a part of their psychosis. So I think that I think he just tries to get along with.
Did you really just Ted Bundy Ime Thompson?
Yeah, I mean, like he's wild, man. I'm telling y'all that dude is gonna be special. Like he is on some. If they had a tier of like the toppest tier of mental makeup, he's up there. So he's an Oppenheimer that uses the Barbie stuff to try to what is it called? Disarm,
soften his image. There it is. That's
don't play with him.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go on X and make an X with the handshake meme with the Ted Bundy and Ime Thompson just there. This. Oh
yeah,
man.
this pod is going everywhere, guys. Hey, it's late July.
This pod is off the rails. Right? All right, this next one we should be in unison on this one. I won't even. Kevin Porter Jr.
Who is it? You think?
I think, look, for a lot of the same reasons as Jalen, right? Like the fashion, like, but I do know he's in addition to the Sakuda stuff, like, right, like he likes art. He has a good appreciation for that. He actually draws and like paints and stuff himself.
He's very introverted too. And I don't know. Then on the court, you got that, even though it sometimes is misguided. I think that I'm going to do the opposite of, I think his Barbie probably wins out, but I would not. It's probably like 51 Barbie, 49 Oppenheimer, because I feel like he's just a complicated person. But yeah, I'll say the Barbie wins out, but he does have some of that introspection to him.
All right, we'll give him the bomb noise too. He can have both. Oh man. All right. Let's keep running down the list. We're getting to some guys that are going to be a little bit harder now. Jae'Sean Tate.
Oh, he's Oppenheimer.
I think I'm safely gonna say Oppenheimer too.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Oppenheimer.
We'll give him the bomb noise.
I'm gonna say Oppenheimer.
Jock Landale.
You can't. He's from New Zealand.
Right? I thought it was Australia.
So.
Is it New Zealand?
Australia? Anybody from that region, they're all Oppenheimers.
All Oppenheimers?
Oh man, the Steven Adamses of the worlds and the those that's a tough breed of people. So yeah, I'm gonna give him an Oppenheimer.
Okay, all Oppenheimer. See, but then I think about Steven. You use the name Steven Adams, and he's tough, but he's also like a gigantic, like he's like a gentle giant. Like he's so lovable and charismatic when he's in his interviews. And all that stuff.
That man looks like he would crack your bones if you could cross his path. So
right, just
don't let him fool you.
Okay, all right. Let me make sure. I want to make sure. We got probably a couple more names here. Oh, Cam Whitmore, Oppenheimer.
Yeah. Ain't no Barbie in Cam.
Quiet, introverted,
everything.
All of
extra
it. Okay.
Oppenheimer.
Okay,
Yeah,
extra Oppenheimer. He said. Yeah. We're gonna give it the double bombs, just like all of them. All right.
Not you dropping bombs like a DJ on YouTube, but go ahead, bro.
Oh man. Okay. All right. We got one more that we'll do here. Jeff Green, Uncle Jeff.
I think Jeff is Oppenheimer. I think he's a very quiet person. He's kind of has that laid back personality. I would say Jeff is a Oppenheimer. And if obviously we need to do the stats on this, and I'm gonna have to go back and get the percentages of how many Oppenheimers on our team, because I feel like that really can say something about potentially going forward. I don't know. What do you think is better to have on a team, a majority Oppenheimers and majority Barbies?
I mean, very clear. Look, I think you need a majority Oppenheimer, but you can't have all Oppenheimers, right? You need to have some people there that can help with the vibes and like can, be the, I don't want to say like the comic relief of the team, but you need some people there that can, break the tension occasionally, right? If you have a locker room full of Oppenheimers, then everybody's going to hate each other by 25 games into the season. Yeah,
I think that's it. I'm thinking of some of the great teams in NBA history right now. It is a healthy mix. You think about the Bulls and stuff like that, obviously with Rodman and Jordan and Pippen and some of the guys that they had on there. So that's see, this is a study we could do. Maybe a whole pod on about
Rodman would have been exactly like Dillon Brooks, right? He would have been both.
Yes. Facts. That's a great point. That's that Dillon Brooks motto. See, the Rockets on the way to a championship, man. 3 rings. We're coming, bro.
There you go. Right there, man. All right. Well, on that note, we wrapped up our Rockets Barbies versus Oppenheimers. Let us know in the YouTube comments who we got dead wrong, who we were on the money with, whether or not you think it's good, team more Oppenheimers, more Barbies. Let us know. Also, let us know how you felt about the movies. I saw both already. They were pretty good. Frank's got to play catch up. He's got to go see them.
Yeah, I got to get a babysitter. I'm going to try to take my wife this weekend, but yeah, we're going to check it out.
All right, Frank, let everybody know where they can track you down at.
FTank58 on X and on the Rockets Chop Shop. Hit us up on YouTube and for great quality Rockets content. Disrespectful, but go ahead.
That's going to do it for another edition of Locked On Rockets. As always, thank you so much for checking out the show. If you haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing wherever you listen to your podcasts or on YouTube. Just search Locked On Rockets. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Give us your thoughts in the YouTube comments. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And we look forward to having you back right here at Locked On Rockets, your daily podcast home for everything Houston Rockets basketball.